All right, Shalom. I'd like to give all the honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Merkakwadash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and blessing to all the fellow Akim out there that are preaching and teaching with 144% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning, and to the elect house of David that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. I am Darash from Men of Valor Camp, Las Vegas. And tonight's lesson is We're at War. That's the best and most simple way to put it. We're at war. Russia has declared America an enemy. And we're going to go to the book. We're going to start off with Revelations chapter 11, verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And that second woe was World War II. And the third woe that cometh quickly, it's World War III. And the word woe means destruction. And obviously, what happens during a time of war? Absolute destruction. Next is going to be the book of this is going to be the book of Matthew. Chapter 24, verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Hear of wars and rumors of wars. So, yeah, we're hearing of war and rumors of more war. This ongoing war crisis with Russia and Ukraine. You're having other countries that are stepping in, including America, stepping in for Ukraine's defense to fight off Russia. Verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. So, what happens during a time of war? Well, when countries get prepared for war, they concentrate all their efforts, all their supplies, food, water, gear, everything towards the war effort, which is going to lead to a failing economy and their people struggling. And it's also going to lead to, higher prices, inflation, amongst other things. So, famines. The supply chain with the food and the water is already short enough, so when this war goes into full effect, when it starts getting worse and worse, what I meant to say, it's going to become like survival of the fittest out here, like in these films you've been seeing, like Mad Max, The Purge, and along with any other post-apocalyptic film you've seen. They show you these movies to show you what's to come, because the devil knows the scriptures. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he knows. Verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Because during a time of war, there's nothing but death and loss of loved ones. As well as, people not being able to, be there for their families, their loved ones, and friends, and all that. Comes a time of desperation. When people get desperate, they do things that they normally wouldn't do or even thought of doing. You know, crime rates are going up. You know, and more suicides. People are just not going to be able to handle the stress because they just bug out. They can't deal with it. This is going to be a time like never before. Roughly paraphrasing. All right, next we're going to go to the book of Joel. This is going to be the book of Joel. Slot, let me get it real fast. This is the book of Joel, chapter 3, starting at verse 9. And it says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war." So all these nations are getting ready because they know that this war with Russia and Ukraine just something that cannot be ignored. And for all those people out that are ignorant and think that everything's going to be okay, like this really has nothing to do with us. No, it has everything to do with this. You know, Russia not wanting Ukraine to become a part of NATO. You know, Ukraine, I mean, Ukrainians are Russians. I mean, Ukraine was once, before it gained its independence, was a part of Russia. Vladimir Putin is just basically taking back what's rightfully his. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So, not only do you have all these other countries like Belarus, America, and you know, I think one country in Africa, I think it's Nigeria. Even they're sending troops. They're getting troops ready and sending them over there to back up Ukraine. Hell, you even have normal Ukrainian citizens, people who have no military training or combat experience at all, that are signing up to fight in this war. Even the citizens realize that this is a dire situation. If it's that serious to the point where your own citizens who count on you, a soldier, to defend their country and their lives, and the citizens have to sign up, Verse 10, "Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong." So, you know, these other nations, they're just not having it no more. America and Russia are the two countries that have been at the top, but America, of course, at the tippy top, being, you know, Babylon, spiritually Babylon, Rome, Egypt, Sodom and Gomorrah, and such spiritually. You know, all these other countries just getting tired of, you know, of all the bullshit. You know, the lies, the deceit, and, you know, just the unfair treatment on all these, you know, America getting into everybody's business, trying to command them and rule them and tell them what to do when it's their own territory. These nations have had enough. And Russians, they're Edomites themselves, so, you know, a house divided cannot stand, so, and if Satan be against Satan, how shall he stand? You have Edomites against Edomites, America against Babylon. America against Russia, and vice versa. So, You have one nation that's turning on itself, while these other nations are starting to see Esau, Edom, for who he really is, the devil. And they're tired. Verse 11, assemble yourselves, and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about, thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. So, you know, these other nations, they're ready to get down and dirty. You know, this is, you know, this is a time like never before. This is it. This is that war, the third woe. It's here. And, you know, obviously Russia has declared America its enemy. And, you know, if America really does get involved and starts stirring up more and more shit, you know, Putin is not afraid to, you know, bring out the big guns, those ICBMs, those nuclear missiles. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. This is going to be Isaiah. It's going to be chapter 13. Chapter 13, starting at 15. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So, these people that are getting involved in this mess, they're going to be thrust through and you know, joined onto this military, into this war effort. They're going to fall by the sword, fall by the weapon. Those who live by the weapon die by the weapon. Verse 16. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. And speaking of wives ravished, I read an article about a day or two ago. Told me that Russian soldiers were raping Ukrainian women. And as I read more into this article, it was talking about how, on, of course, the social media like Instagram, TikTok, or a dating app, Tinder, or whatever, how Russian men were flirting with Ukrainian women, and these Ukrainian, and just women in general being the weaker vessel, they would tell these Russian men, who were really soldiers, tell them where they live, where to see them. So when Russia comes in, invades, these women think they're going to meet a cool guy. No, you're meeting a man of war. He's not going to be there to say, hey, what's up, how you doing? No. And I'll read it again. Verse 16. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. So, in this war, people are going to be seeing their own children murked right before their eyes, seeing their own children die right before them. Their houses shall be spoiled, which means, you know, their dwelling places will be overtaken by these invaders, and their wives ravished, which means whether you're a mother, a daughter, or a single woman, niece, cousin, or whatever, these men, you're a woman, they're going to take you by force. They don't care. Verse 17, behold, I will stir up the Medes being the Russians, against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So, Vladimir Putin, he's not taking any bribes. He's not taking anything from anyone. He wants what he wants. He wants to take back Ukraine. He doesn't care what methods of persuasion that these other countries use, like these sanctions, freezing their banks, you know, restricting their airlines, so on and so forth. these sanctions are going to do nothing but make the situation worse for Russian citizens. And you have people fleeing Russia and people fleeing Ukraine and fleeing everywhere else. It's just a mess. Never for paraphrasing, a man shall go into a city and shall not be able to. You might as well just stay where you are and face the music. This is that time of desperation. You know, Job 9 and 24. You know, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the face of the judges thereof. If not, who and where is he? So, we all know that the wicked is Esau Edom. Him and his nation are in rulership right now, so they're the ones causing all this mess. They're never satisfied unless they have war, because war is the big money maker. Let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 50. Get there real fast. This is going to be the book of Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 25. The Lord hath opened his armory and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahshai host in the land of the Chaldeans. Opened up his armory and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. The ICBMs. The intercontinental ballistic missiles. When that time comes, a lot of places are going to be getting nuked. But the one that's going to get it the worst is America. Now, it says right here, I'm going to read up on verse 24 here. And it says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Babylon, a.k.a. America. Due to the great pride of this wicked kingdom, they don't realize that the Lord used their own pride as a snare, a trap. Used their own pride against them. And they were not aware of it. Esau Edom thought that he was the one that did it all. Thought he was in control. Not knowing that Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, roughly paraphrasing, rules in the kingdom of men, pursuant to the book of Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is in control of everything. There's no getting around that. So, Esau Edom is through. That's the best way to put it. Okay, now we're going to go to Ezekiel. It's going to be chapter 38. Chapter 38, starting at verse 4. And it says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horse and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. You know, he's talking about bringing back that fearsome power that Russia had back then as the Soviet Union. You know, and we all know what the Soviet Union was capable of back then in World War II. So, Russia's got that power back. And with Vladimir Putin running the show over there, well, You know, and people are saying that he's a tyrant. He's a cold-blooded murderer. Well, I mean, where does his seed go? Where does he go back to? Esau, Edom, the wicked. He was created to do what he was meant to do. Courtesy of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. I'm gonna drop down to Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 10. And it says, no, I'll start at actually. Verse 9. Verse 9, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, and thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. You know, and he's having Putin thinking that evil thought. Going to. You know, to just destroy. You know, go back here, and come to pass that at the same time verse 9, ascend and come like a storm. And Russia came in like a storm in Ukraine, just leveling buildings with those missiles. You know, they just, it's no mercy. None. So, you know, this is, even though this is Yahweh Hashem Yahushai's doing, but, you know, it's playing out. It's playing out according to plan. His plan. And it's beautiful. It really is. It doesn't get any better than this. Alright, I'm going to close out here with, this is going to be the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 7, verse 13. Actually, I'm going to start at verse 11. The power judgeth the righteous, and the power is angry with the wicked every day. Verse 12, if he turn not, he will whet his sword, and the word whet, W-H-E-T, means to sharpen. He will whet his sword, he hath bent his bow, and made it ready. And, you know, bending that bow, you know, made it ready. That's talking about those silos for those missiles. In verse 13, he hath also prepared for him the instruments of death, and he ordaineth his arrows against the persecutors. And who are the persecutors? You know, of this world. The ones who are in power right now. And the instruments of death are those missiles. And it says, verse 14, behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. Verse 15, he made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. Verse 16, his mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pet. That's talking about Esau, Edom right there. After all the backhanded, double-tongued, backstabbing, under the table, in secret places of all the bullshit he's done, it's now going to come back to bite him in the ass. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is marvelous. This is just a marvelous. I can't help but smile and laugh because we're almost out of here. It is a beautiful thing. I only hope and pray that I am of that number. that I don't have to suffer that second death, that nuclear explosion. Because, roughly paraphrasing, the elect shall scarcely be saved, which means when we look up and we see those missiles coming right down towards that ground, right at the last second, those chariots are going to beam us up. Lord willing, we're of that number. They're going to beam us up and get us out of there. And we're going to watch the fireworks from up in those chariots. And, this is what we're all hoping for. We're those prisoners of hope, and all we can do is just keep fasting, praying, studying, and just keep pushing. Just keep pushing for this truth, no matter how hard it gets. Just got to keep going. As cold as this may sound, the weak die, the strong survive. Lord willing, we are that strong. So, once again, this lesson was entitled, We're Now at War. So, I hope it was an edifying lesson. And, just keep your eyes open. Be aware. And, from another article that I've read, since Russia has been declared that that America is now its enemy, been reading a couple of articles about rumors of future cyber attacks on the power grid. So, what do you think is going to happen when the lights go out? It's going to get real bad out here real soon. So, prepare yourselves spiritually. And with that, I'm going to give all the glory, honor, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of the Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all the fellow Akim out there that are preaching and teaching with 144% truth and sincerity. And to the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the elect house of David that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. Once again, I am Darash from Men of Valor Las Vegas Camp. See you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Kwam Yasharala wa Ababa Ball. We're almost out of here. Lord willing, we'll be of that number. Shalom.